What's going on, guys? Welcome in Power Rankings Week 2 for the Weekend Dads Fantasy Football League. So I've heard rumors that some people don't like these things, but we don't care. We're going to keep doing them anyway. So suck that, Zaid. If you guys didn't check it out, Jason posted a Week 1 breakdown video. I think he posted it yesterday, if I remember incorrectly. But he posted that up. Definitely check it out. It's an awesome video. Kind of just goes through the Week 1 matchups, who scored high, who had duds weeks, how everyone's team's looking. So be sure to go ahead and check that out. Show him some love there in the comments. Leave him a like, whatever it may be. It's on the Weekend Dads channel. It should be the video like right before this one. So anyways, looking back at Week 1, we had a lot of upsets going into this past week. So we had 3 of our top 5 teams actually went down. Got big ol' L's for the first week of the fantasy football season, and it led to a massive shakeup in the rankings. So we're going to see how that kind of impacts our rankings, and we'll go ahead and just roll right in here. So I have these are actually Week 1's power rankings, so this will be all last week's, showing kind of where our wins and losses went. So huge surprise, Colin, our 2020 Weekend Dads champion, actually went down. Going to be starting with that 0-1 record. And I think he actually had the lowest scoring team on the week as well. So not a good week for the Gibbs Sons. Other ones out of the top 5, Cardboard Hippos took the L. Chain Gang had a very upsetting week as well. I don't think they broke 100 either and actually took the L. We had Nutcrackers, Mark with the big win, Jimmy as well with the big win, and then Zaid lost the game of the week, and Eric lost to Jason. So this is kind of what we had going on for the last week. As you can see, there's no last week ranks because obviously it was the first week, so there's no rankings to go off of before the Week 1. But let's go ahead and roll into our Week 2 power rankings. We're going to start out number 10. So this is a huge surprise, pretty much. The Chain Gang dropping 5 spots all the way down to number 10, very last place in the power rankings. Now, this past week, they lost to the Nutcrackers. They only scored 94 points, which I thought was a huge shock because this team actually has the highest points per game in Weekend Dads history. I think he averages over 120 points or something a week, but could even break 100 for the first week of the 2021 season. Kind of nuts. I think the 5-spot drop might be a little bit of an overreaction, honestly. So we had Derrick Henry really struggled. Travis Kelce was still great, but overall, his team just had a really bad week. He left some point in the bench. I think he had Melvin Gordon with like 22 points or something on his bench, and it was just a really bad week for Trevor. He does have a really big matchup this week against Colin and the Gibbs Sons. So 2 of our former champion teams taking each other on, both with 0-1 records, trying to bounce back. Currently, Trevor is 2-point underdogs for projections. This is projected to be the highest scoring game of the week for our Week 2 games. The bright side is, looking historically, Trevor does have a 7-1 record against Colin. So he'll be looking to capitalize off that and bounce back his team, hopefully climb back into the rankings. Coming in at number 9, we have Zal's Zappy Zorillas. So he drops 2 spots after the loss to the Bebop and Baby Bears. This honestly, it was probably like an unwinnable week for Zaid. The Baby Bears scored 175 points and the running backs just went off for the Baby Bears, while for the Zorillas, they did almost nothing. This could be a cause for a little bit of panic, honestly, for Zaid, because those were both his keepers, and Aaron Jones and Saquon Barkley, they only combined for 6 points together. So these are 2 first-round capital running backs that we would expect to have big weeks, and they just didn't show up. Another player that he had that really struggled was his highly touted draft pick of Mike Gesicki. Dropped a big old donut in the score column there, and he's actually now a former Zorilla. So he's available on waivers. Go get your Mike Gesicki if you're a big Dolphins truther, you know. This week he'll be taking on Mark and the Booty Pebbles. But once again, Zaid's a double-digit underdog. So he's underdog by 15 points. And only has a 1-5 record against Mark. So it's not looking good for the Zorillas. He really needs this week to be able to kind of build the team up, but he does have Brandon Cooks on his bench. So I expect a trade soon with Dustin going down and Zaid having Brandon Cooks. You know, there's always that possibility, Dustin, you can go out and get you a wide receiver and trade one of those first round or one of your running backs for him. Give Zayd some more keepers, am I right? So go ahead and move on to number 8. Got the Nutcrackers. So despite even beating last week's number 5 ranked team in the chain gang, the Nutcrackers still lost 2 spots. This game was typical Nutcrackers fashion, extremely low scoring. Austin only scored 117 points, which was the 4th lowest score in the week. But luckily he went against Trevor, who only scored 94 points. I don't know how every year it seems like Austin's teams do this. They'll have this lowest like points scored, but they'll also have extremely low points against. It's just, I don't know. He has it figured out, man. Darren Waller's an absolute monster. And then Austin might have had, which Jason talked about, the pickup of the week with Sterling Shepard. So we made a last minute switch. I forgot who he had in. He had someone in though. I think it was OBJ. Got pronounced out, and then Sterling Shepard stepped in, scored him like 24 points or something like that. So that was a great decision from Austin to be able to take home this win. Coming in this week, he'll be taking on Father of the Mags and Jimmy. He's 4-point underdogs, but Austin does have a 5-2 record against Jimmy historically. So look for this game to have that typical Nutcracker stifling defense and probably be low scoring, because it seems like that always happens. But yeah, move on to number 7. Coming at number 7, we have Team Tots. So Eric actually raises 3 spots after losing to the Chinchillas. He did have a great week. He scored in I think 141 points. Now 66 of those points were from Mahomes and Tyreek stack. Tyreek had over 200 yards. Mahomes had a ton of touchdowns and yards, and it was an insane week. The scary thing I think for Eric is this might be one of his best weeks of the season, honestly. His team is Mahomes and Tyreek, and I think we talked about that earlier. He has DK Metcalf, which obviously can boom. Gonna have his down weeks, but he really relies heavily on that Chiefs stack to be able to get his wins or just get his points every week. I'm a little surprised he did rise all the way to 7, just because he had an outlier week, I would say, with scoring so much. He got unlucky having to go against Jason, who scored 144, and took him down. But I think just his rise a little bit due to the fall of the other teams being like, Zayd, Trevor, teams like that. He does have the Hippos this week, and he's going to be taking them on as 5-point underdogs, and only has a 2-7 record against Dustin historically. So he'll be looking to kind of counter that bad start, see if he can continue to score high points and put a W in the column. So go ahead and move on. Number 6. Coming at number 6, we have Eric's opponent, the Cardboard Hippos. So Dustin had a disappointing week. this whole bottom 5, it was just disappointing weeks pretty much across the board. Lost to Jimmy, which this is a team historically he was 4-1 against. So he's now 4-2 against Jimmy. And a lot of this I think he's blaming on Zeke. And huge disappointment from Zeke on Thursday Night Football. And Zeke he was out there. He was pass blocking a lot, and I mean, he was going against the Bucks. They have a great run defense, great defense in general, really, and they just weren't using Zeke in the way that I think Dustin would want him to be used, especially if they're at first round value. So I think coming in this week, he's going to need a huge win to avoid panic. We know Dustin historically will freak out and trade away all of his keepers and just kind of give up and not know what to do. So hopefully he can get a win and avoid blowing up the roster like he did last year. So he'll be taking on, as I said before, Team Tots. He is favorites and has a 7-2 record historically against the Tots. So he'll be really looking to turn his season around, get back up there in the rankings after dropping from number 3. Coming at number 5, we have Father of the Mag. So Jimmy, the guy who played Dustin last week, had a huge week and even had a down week from Devontae Adams, but was still able to score 141 points. Had an absolutely awesome game from Kyler Murray, and it's kind of interesting because we were down on Jimmy's draft a lot after I think I claimed that he maybe had the worst draft out of all the weekend dads. I think looking back at the draft, we have to wonder, was Jimmy keeping Kyler and dropping Zeke probably one of the best keeper decisions of the draft? And was it on purpose? Did he big brain Dustin? He saw that Dustin had that pick. Actually, I don't think he did, but he knew. He had future insight to know that Dustin was going to pick Zeke, and it was all for the matchup. So Dustin, you got wrecked. It's just wild. But anyway, coming up this week, they're going to be taking on the Nutcrackers as 4-point favorites, but they do have a historical losing record to Austin and the Nutcrackers. So keeping our eyes on that matchup, see if Jimmy can keep rising up the ranks. I feel like every year we hate on Jimmy's draft, but he ends up all right. So we'll see what kind of comes out of that. Moving on to number 4. Coming in at number 4, we have our 2020 Weekend Dads champion, Gibbs Sons. So Colin dropped 3 spots after his 89-point showing. Some of this comes on the back of Aaron Rodgers had a really, really down week. Like probably one of his worst weeks he's ever had in his career. Only scored like 1.8. I think it was less than 2 points. So he really got no help there. There's been rumors going around that Colin might be in wide receiver hell, though. Mike Evans seemed to be retired on the Thursday night game. We'll see if he can bounce back coming up this week. But he'll be taking on the Chain Gang this week as 2-point favorites. He's only been able to beat Trevor in the Chain Gang once, though, and has lost 7 times historically. So it's an uphill battle for the Gibbs Sons. Our 2020 Weekend Dads champion. He really needs those 2 running backs, Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara, to really just carry this team, put up big weeks, and be able to help him get a victory, because I think this is going to be a very important matchup for the morale and just the rest of the season of both these teams. So see what they do. Keep your eyes on that team. So coming in at number 3, we have the cheeky Chinchillas. So this was coming off of the battle of the 0 RB teams. The Chinchillas emerged victorious out of it. Scored the 3rd most points on the week and didn't even play a defense. Now, if he had played a defense, he would have gotten, I think it was -1 point or something. He might have been a little bit, it was close on the points of the week. There was a lot of drama behind that whole defensive play of like, should Jason go for the points? Should he bench him and take the win? And then how it just would have worked out. Like there was a stat correction in there. The Ravens, I think, scored negative points, so we would have lost. But then with the stat correction, he would have then won. It would have just been, that would have been a wild roller coaster, Jason. But he was able to get the win, put up 3rd most points on the week, rise in the rankings. The Chinchillas are just continually trying to go along and just prove everyone that running backs don't matter. Jason just says, 0 RB running backs don't matter. I'm kind of the opposite, but we'll find out this week because he's taking on the Bebop and Baby Bears, and I'm claiming this the Roommates for Life Bowl. So he's currently 2-point underdogs with a 6-3 record against me, though. So I want to beat Jason. So hopefully we can. This will be just a really interesting matchup. My team was carried last week by not really carried. I scored highest points in the league, but both my running backs kind of had great weeks. Jason won off his wide receivers having great weeks. It'll just be interesting to see the running back versus wide receiver matchup here. So that'll Going on number 2, we got Booty Pebbles. So Mark, congratulations. I don't know if you've ever been in the top 5 of the power rankings. I'd have to look back, but congratulations, you did it. Mark was for sure. He was just like, I'm dropping. I know I'm dropping. He scored the 2nd most points in the week. He's like, I'm gonna drop. I'm gonna be like 9. I'm gonna be 10, whatever it may be. But Mark, you went 6 spots up. You're number 2. You also had a 1st place vote. Now, was that 1st place vote you? I can't disclose that, but it's a possibility. But Seahawks stack looked great. Lockett and Russell Wilson just tore it up. Nick Chubb was able to rumble and tumble into the end zone for 2 touchdowns, and Booty Pebbles had a really good week. He'll look to continue that role and kind of keep those winning ways against the Zorillas, who off to a rough start. Mark actually so this game has the highest point differential projected for this week. So Mark's currently a 15-point favorite, which I think this is the 2nd week in a row that Zaid has been double-digit underdog, which that's not good for the Zorillas. And Mark also has a historical record of 5-1 against Zaid. So Zaid's really got an uphill battle here going against Mark, and Mark's going to be looking to put that nail in the coffin in the Zorillas this week. So that leaves one more team for our number 1 spot. The Bebop and Baby Bears raised one one spot in the power rankings up to number 1. Majority of the season last year, I was 1, 2. I think I dropped to 3 maybe at one point with injuries and stuff. But I was able to rise up to number 1. I had 4 first place votes and put up a huge week, 175 points. The whole team kind of went off. I had great weeks from every player on my team, I think, except like Calvin Ridley. But we can deal with that. I think it was both Falcon, Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts. But tight end, you'll take what you can get. Barring injuries, I think my team will be great. Be a good team to beat. I'm going to stop referring to my team. I'm going to be solely unbiased opinion here. I think the Baby Bears will be a hard team to beat. And should be top of the power rankings as long as they don't have any major injuries. So there's a big game coming up this week with the Cheeky Chinchillas, number 3 ranked team versus the number 1 ranked team. And the Baby Bears, I can speak from sources internal to the organization, say that they're very focused on this game and they're going to win this game. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, their Baby Bears currently favored by 2 points. They need to try to turn that overall record though around that. They're 3-6 against Chinchillas. So these are our power rankings 1 through 10, as you guys can see on the screen currently. Some big surprises, a lot of big movers. Mark up 6, Trevor down 5, Jimmy up 4. A lot of shifting going on as we figure out where these teams actually stack up. So there's always these preconceived notions at the beginning of the season of where teams may or may not be. And then you find out kind of quickly in the first couple of weeks how good teams actually are. So this is the power rankings. And then as we end our shows this year, it's time for Wolfie's Game of the Week. So I think Wolfie actually put up a poll onto Twitter this week and then kind of got the input of the fans, kind of understanding what they thought was the game of the week, which game they would be watching closely. But he did say only 49% of the games would be decided by Wolfie, and he went against the poll and said Wolfie's Game of the Week will be the number 4 ranked Gibbs Sons versus the number 10 ranked Chain Gang. So Wolfie's reasoning, as I was told from him behind this is a loser goes home type scenario where both these teams had really bad week 1s, and if they had another second bad week, whichever team out of here loses, it's going to be an uphill battle for these squads. So as you can see, we got Alvin Kamara up here for calling in the Gibbs Sons, and then Trevor's boy, I don't think he's ever been on another team, Travis Kelce for the Chain Gang. So definitely be watching that game this week. Leave a comment, whoever you think's going to win that week, whatever you think of the rankings. While you're down there, you might as well leave a like as well. Subscribe if you haven't already, because there's going to be more Weekend Dads content coming. You got to have it. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit all those buttons down there except the one with the thumbs down, because we don't want dislikes up in here. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.